Hello everyone, this is Group 50 and my name is Tang. So today I will present our project about Australia rental housing analysis. So why this topic? Australia is facing a serious rental housing crisis with a record high price, low vacancy rate and over 30% of rental classified as rent stressed. Social media platforms like Reddit, Mastodon, and Blue Sky have become the key space for people to share their experience and frustration. By analyzing this discussion, we can uncover public sentiment and recurring concern about housing price. For our analysis, we collect data from Reddit, Mastodon, Blue Sky. These platforms are chosen for their popularity and the wealth of information that they provide. To support our work, we use the Melbourne Resource Cloud, which is a part of Nectar Resource Cloud, a scalable infrastructure designed specifically for research. So as is shown on the dashboard, we run our system using 4 instances, 8 virtual CPU and 36 GB of RAM. This configuration provides sufficient resource for our application while also reserving spare node to handle potential node failure efficiently.
This is William Chen, and I'm going to do a demonstration in our system. Our system has the architecture layer in 4, the data collection layer, which runs the harvester to collect the data process layer, which our backend deploy out in Kubernetes, the data storage layer, which is our database storage using Elasticsearch, and data visualization is our front end using Jupyter Notebook to present our data. And for our technology stack, we are using Python, Node.js as our environment, using Kubernetes to deploy our distributed system in our system, which is Fiction to deploy our serverless function, Kida and Redis to monitor the message queue, and Kibana is a visualization tool to visualize the data in the Elasticsearch. And to have a look in our data pipeline, we deploy the harvester via Fiction to harvest data from the Blue Sky and Manchester. And then we have Fiction timer to trigger the harvester in time interval, so we can continuously trigger data and push it into the Redis queue. Kida, we monitor the Redis queue, and based on the topic to trigger the create pod and for the processor to process the data and push it into the Elasticsearch. And we also have our sentiment analyze function, which is also triggered by a timer to collect the raw data from the Elasticsearch and to sentiment analyze and push it back into the Elasticsearch in a different index. Our backend function deploy in Fiction and could be used for the front end to have a API call by forwarding the port. Our Reddit data, we have our Reddit data installed in our local and then insert from the local to Elasticsearch to make sure we have enough data for our front-end analyze. And let's take a look at our actual implementation. So we have our cluster. And we can see the status of our cluster is healthy, and we have 1 master node and 3 worker node to handle the actual workload in the Kubernetes. And our function is deployed in our fiction or harvester function, the sentiment analyze function, and the backend function. The timer triggered the harvester in every 1 minute for the blue sky one, and Marston harvester in every 5 minutes. And also for our sentiment, just like what I said, we have a timer to trigger it every day to transfer the raw data into a sentiment score. And for the Redis queue list, we have the key data monitor in a different topic, and then once there are new message put into the queue, a function would be the process function would be called, and to handle the function, if error happen after 3 tries, then the error message the data message will be pushed into the error topic list and will be picked up by the log arrow trigger, which will handle the error by inserting the error message into our Elasticsearch. And this is one error handling in our system. And to access take a look in our database, we need to put forward our Kibana port, and we can localhost 5601 to access it, and take a look what inside in our database. So we have about 8 million of data in Redis, Blue Sky for 1.5 million, and Milestone data here have 5,000. Here has 0.7 million data. And take a look at if our data is collecting, we can monitor our function is actually working. So you can see this is our function, and it is currently working here. It's currently working to harvest data from it and insert it into our Elasticsearch. And we can also have a test on our backend. So first, we need to put forward our route, our fiction router. And now we are able to test our API, our backend. So this is one API, one of the API from our backend, and it should retrieve a back of word based on the term we specific here. And yeah, it will return the dictionary of the frequency of word appear by the term open. We can still change to Sydney. And yep, it returned the desired data we want. So that is probably cover most of our system architecture in our backend and database harvester.
Now you've seen how backend explores the API for accessing social media data. I will walk you through how we process and analyze this data to explore public sentiment around housing across platform and cities. So before that, we're going to talk about the local processing of the Reddit data. So Reddit data, we did not use Harvester to do. We download the data of the Reddit, we processed it, and get the attributes index we want, and we uploaded it. So firstly, it's downloaded as a ZSD file, so in a JSON format, and we process that to CSV. And after CSV, we start to eliminate data sources. So it needs to be in Australia, subreddit including those keywords. And after that, cleaning the text must including a rental related word. We did a Veda analysis after that, and we trained based on Reddit's 2023 data to 2024 data for a LDA model in terms of topic clustering, and we give those topic names. So, and use that for 2024 data to 2025 data. And so they will have an attribute called topic, called dominant topic, and that's correspondent to topic name. So the resulting CSV before we upload is this, and this has been uploaded using script 1. You see. So front-end analysis. So for front-end analysis, we first expose to API, which is simply taking this command. And after using this command, obviously this data, like the API, are accessible, so you run the Jupyter Notebook. So to support analysis, we apply standardized Veda threshold of the sentiment classification and violate key field like year, month, source cities. We also ensure that no value and invalid format were excluded before plotting. So scenario one, we restrict the date from June 2023 beyond. That is because we find Blue Sky lacks so much data in the previous, and it's just pointless to compare them. So unlike Mastodon and no. So we first compare the overall sentiment between Blue Sky and Mastodon. Those line plots are average positive and negative sentiment over time pattern. Blue Sky are usually more emotionally diverse, and whereas Mastodon is more consistently critical. And we dive into the the sentiment portion. So the above one is average sentiment. This one is a portion of sentiment in positive and negative and neutral, because the two data set has different numbers of posts. We just trying to link, and we did not retrieve all the posts yet. So this is just a way to flatten out the effect of having more posts. So yeah, so we can see the Blue Sky, well, generally Blue Sky has an average higher portion of positive, but Mastodon have a relative higher average positive. It is positive, so we made a distribution diagram. So we say the Blue Sky is more centered, and the Mastodon's one is more diverse, more extreme to the high in both ends. So scenario two, we first compare the overall sentiment between Blue Sky and Reddit, because Mastodon we can't find a way to take out cities and regions. So we did the same positive and negative trend analysis for both Sydney Reddit, Sydney Blue Sky, Melbourne Reddit, and Melbourne Blue Sky. And as a result, we see system showed Sydney showed sharper emotional swings, especially in early Blue Sky data, while Melbourne remained more consistently negative, particularly for Reddit. And so this suggests that the Sydney sentiment may be evenly driven, whereas Melbourne reflects longer-term housing dissatisfaction. So for scenario 3, we're analyzing on what's the hottest topic. And for Blue Sky and Mastodon, they are more like general topics, and more like general topic, not necessarily really corresponded to Reddit, or not to Reddit, to Rentling, or they might just have too much common word using Rentling, such as people, housing, etc. So not a spot on crisis. However, we did use the LDA model for Redis, which is more critical in terms of performance and train data. So we find Redis reveals richer semantic structure, with the dominant topic being personal housing narrative covering about 40% of the post. So this contrast shows the Redis supports more detail in discussion, while platform like Blue Sky serves quicker emotional expression similar to Mastodon. So together, those visualizations help illustrate how housing sentiments differs not only across platform but also across cities, offering insight that they can guide both research and policy responses.